Hannah?
Larry, it is never a dull moment out here. Last night we had an injury that we somewhat questioned to the Soviet gymnast Tatiana Lysenko. Well, there's no question about the injury to an American gymnast tonight. It's Kim Zmeskal, and it will take her out of one of the apparatus finals tonight. I've just spoken with Dr. Jack Jensen. He's the team doctor. Kim Zmeskal has aggravated tendinitis in her left wrist. We'll be talking with the doctor in just a minute to assess the seriousness of this injury. But Bella Caroli has told us he is taking Kim Zmeskal out of the vault. Now, he did acknowledge she was the first person on the apparatus. The scores build on that apparatus, so it is unlikely that she would have medaled in that event. You saw Kim marching out tonight. Kim Zmeskal will still be on the floor, the beam, the bars, because it's a precautionary measure. They're worried about her wrist and the force of the wrist hitting the vaulting horse. So again, Kim Zmeskal is injured, but she will still be eligible to win 3 gold medals. And you know, last night after she fell off the uneven bar, she hit all her routines. Larry, she was so dejected. She was so desolate. And although these little girls appear larger than life on our TV screen, they're still just little children. You want to wrap your arms around them and tell them that everything's going to be okay, but you can't do that. All you can do is sit back and admire them, because they are champions, they are competitors, and Kim Zmeskal is one tough little kid. We'll be keeping you posted from the Tacoma Dome.
Thanks, Hannah. It's going to be a great night. Can't wait to get back to it. We'll return to gymnastics in just a few minutes on a really big night of sports. First, a look at the numbers. Our man with the numbers. In fact, he's the numbers man. Nick, the medal count.
Hey, the Soviets are coming.
Beautiful. I never had classical music under me before. Invigorating. A new kind of disc jockey, I feel. Welcome back. Day 10 of the 1990 Goodwill Games. Beauty and perfection, that's coming. To the Tacoma Dome for the final night of women's gymnastics. And my man on the scene, Jim Simpson. James?
Larry, you should be out here. We have music behind us at all times. It is a big night. It is a final night of gymnastics. And it is for 4 apparatus, 4 golds, 4 silvers, 4 bronze. But Kathy Johnson, a great night. The silver team medal for the Americans on Friday. A disappointing last night. Hannah has talked about it. You have been with the American young ladies. How are they emotionally prepared, aside from Zmeskal's injury, for tonight's competition?
Well, first of all, I was back in the warm-up gym prior to competition, and emotionally, they're very down. They're a little depressed about last night's performance, which really kind of bothers me, because I don't want to see that take away from what they did for the United States, winning the silver medal, and they did come back very strong after that fall with Kim Zmeskal on the uneven bars. Physically, they're very tired as well. These athletes are not used to competing 3 days in a row. Usually at major competitions, they alternate days of competition with the men. So it's they are a little physically tired and a little emotionally down, but I'm hoping that they'll get up tonight.
Capacity crowd here, better than 16,000. That should pump a little adrenaline. But let's find out what really is wrong with Kim Zmeskal. Down to Hannah Storm.
Thanks, Jim. I'm here with Dr. Jack Jensen, the team doctor. Dr. Jensen, what is tendinitis? Quickly and simply, what is Kim suffering from?
Kim has some inflammation in the top part of her wrist, and it's quite painful, and that's what's preventing her from vaulting today.
What does it feel like? What's it going to feel like when she grabs onto that uneven parallel bar? Is it going to hurt a lot?
Well, she hasn't as much trouble with that, because in the vault, your wrist has to come up so hard, and there's so much impact on it, that she is having a tremendous problem with the vaulting, but seems to be able to do the uneven bars okay.
Is this career-threatening?
We don't think so at this point, but a good way for that to occur is to let her vault today and really hurt it.
Thanks, Dr. Jensen. Jim?
All right, Hannah. You're looking wide at the Tacoma Dome, our final night of gymnastics. Last night, Natalia Kalinina won the all-around title. And here she is, her first event of the evening moments ago, and it is, of course, the vault.
This is actually her routine during the all-around competition, where she scored a perfect 10. Double layout, the only 10 of the entire competition. I said it last night, and I'll say it again, she was just exquisite. Beautiful attention to detail. tremendous difficulty throughout the routine, including that middle tumbling run. It's a full twisting double back, which she tumbles right out of.
Well, they say show business is coming into gymnastics. There's a little bit of Kalinina.
And just as they were the gymnasts to beat in the all-around and the team competition, they will definitely be the gymnasts to beat here in the event finals.
Now, that was a 10 last night that just wrapped up the all-around championship. Moments ago in the vault, her first performance of this evening. Well, I don't want to tip it off, but just take a look at this first vault.
She performs a Yurchenko with a full twist and a perfect landing. It's very difficult to say things are perfect, but that landing was perfect. You can't do it any better than that.
She got a 9.95 on this vault.
It's just beautiful position. Technically very nicely done. And the all-important stuck landing.
That was vault number 1, 9.950, and in this apparatus finals, they will average the 2 vaults. They don't take the better of the 2, they will average the 2. And this was Natalia's second vault.
Now, Natalia is capable of doing a double twisting Yurchenko. She opted to only do the full twist for her first vault, and I believe she's doing a handspring front with a half twist for her second vault. Of course, the rule for the event finals involve they have to do 2 different vaults from 2 different categories. And then both vaults are averaged together so that they both count. This wasn't as good as her first vault, but it's definitely comparable to anything else in the competition.
Which gave her a 9.887 and an average of 9.918. At that time, it put Kalinina in the lead. But hold on, there's another Soviet in the competition, and she is outstanding. Someone took it away. The haze moved in, but now it is clearing in the Tacoma area, and we're beginning to see Montpelier once again. Here's Oksana Chusovitna of the USSR, 15 years old, from Tashkent. And watch this vault, her vaults of just moments ago.
Handspring front pike with a half twist. A very nice landing, just a slight check for balance.
She is the second Soviet in the vault. Loganskaya, the world champion, is not competing in the vault.
And Oksana is fairly new to the Soviet team. This is the first I've ever seen her compete. It's a front pike with a half twist. And as I said, all she had to do is check the balance on that landing.
And that gave her a 9.950, equal to the first vault of Kalinina. Soviets are so deep, and they've proven it here, as they've proven it everywhere else in the world.
Score is 9.95.
As I said earlier, they must perform 2 different vaults from 2 different families. So completely different vaults. Makes it much tougher to medal in this event.
For those of you who actively follow gymnastics, in Salt Lake earlier this year in the Olympic Cup, Chusovitna was first in the all-around. Watch this.
Sukahara with a full twist. Very nice position in the air. Great height from the horse. She's a very, very powerful gymnast.
We're looking at the vaulting champion right there. That's a gold medal. A 9.975 on her second vault.
So she averaged 9.962 for the 2 vaults. That is an excellent vault. Superior amplitude on this vault. Good form. Very nicely done.
The first of the 4 apparatus finals is over. Chusovitna, the Soviet Union, gets the gold to Kalinina. gets the silver, and Gojian of Romania, the only Romanian here, gets the bronze. Remember, Demesco was scratched from this event. Amy Scherer was the only American in this event.
And Amy had a terrific first vault. Unfortunately, she put her hands down on that second vault. And naturally, since you have to count both vaults, that dropped her right out of the league.
15-year-old Oksana Shusevitna. And here's Amy Scherer and what happened to her. The only American competitor. 15 years old also, out of Cincinnati. And, of course, trains with Bella Caroli down in Houston.
And she was a bronze medalist at the recent USA Championships on this event. Her first vault is a Yurchenko with a full twist in laid-out position. Just the round-off entry. Problems with the landing. She did a terrific job for the United States during the team competition. She led off on every single event, which it's a very high-pressure position for a young and fairly inexperienced gymnast.
And
Just a
as
little
Kathy
too much
said,
juice.
the second time around, she put her hands down. So the first of 4 apparatus is over, and the gold medal has been determined. Shusevitna of the Soviet Union, the gold. Kalina, Soviet Union, silver. Gojian of Romania, bronze. Let's go to Larry.
Thanks, Jim. We'll return to the last night of women's gymnastics and the uneven bars in a little while. Stay with us for more of the 1990 Goodwill Games. The next event in gymnastics, less than 12 minutes away. Stay with us.
Thank you, Larry. Henny Onidi of Hungary, the top Hungarian gymnast on the uneven bars. Matter of fact, Henny said last night after she took the bronze in the all-around that there's not much behind her in Hungary. Gymnastics has come almost to a complete halt in Hungary, aside from this youngster right here, 16 years old. And a year ago, in Europe, she won the European Championship in this event, the unevens.
She was also the bronze all-around European champion this past European Championships. Very nice uneven bar work. A nice little original connection move. Something the judges are looking for. That's called a Ginger. Made famous by Eberhard Ginger, the male West German gymnast. She could have a little bit more amplitude in this routine. That release move should have been a little bit higher above the bar. It's a nice front giant there. Back giant with a full pirouette into a tuck double back dismount.
She's got the crowd at least. I don't know about the judges. And the oddity of Hungary.
You don't have to know much about gymnastics to know you have to stick your landing. And this audience knows how important that is.
And she is first up on this apparatus.
It's a nice start for this event. It's going to be a terrific competition. A lot of good uneven bar workers, including Henrietta. She shows nice low bar work. Many of the gymnasts just get right up to the high bar, do the major release moves, but they don't do anything really interesting.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind you, please.
She has a nice variety of several different kinds of moves, but as I said, the release move should be a little bit higher up above the bar. Of course, the dismount, very high, good form, and a good length.
9.862. And of course, she is first up, and that is the score that she gets. There are 2 Americans, Betty Okino and Kim Zemesco, in this event, and only 1 Soviet. So at least a couple of the medals in this will not go to the outstanding Soviets, but Kalinina is to come later. This is Eva Rueda of Spain, where the Olympic Games will be held in a couple of years in Barcelona.
And Eva Rueda also did very well at the European Championships, finishing 4th. And that was just back in May. She's a very, very strong, dynamic gymnast. You can see by her physical build.
And by today's standards, a rather old gymnast for the women, 18.
She opens with a Jaeger front. A couple little form deductions already. Unpointed toes. Reverse hex. So she's now completed 2 major release moves. Very important that you get all the levels of difficulty in. Watch this dismount. She cranks those two giants and does a double layout flyaway.
Eva Rueda of Spain.
Amazing velocity she has to create to do the double layout the way she does it. It's a very difficult dismount. Just recently, it's become a little bit more popular now that the bars are farther apart, spaced farther apart. They can generate a little bit more swing. Here's her first release move. It's called a Jaeger front. Again, look to see that on the regraph, their shoulders are level with that bar. It's what the judges are looking for. This is the reverse hecht. And again, she catches just level with the high bar. And watch this dismount. She really cranks these giants around. Strong tap at the bottom of the swing in order to get that rotation and maintain a layout position, which makes the dismount much more difficult.
At the moment, awaiting her score, and waiting to come up is Li. Is waiting to come up, and there's Kim Zamasko, who did not go in the vault, but she is in this event. But before she goes, the other American in this event, Betty Okino, will be on the Remember, she's got tendonitis. Wrist here, 9.825. So at this very young moment in the unevens, Onadi is first and Rueda is second. But we have 6 more to go. Chinese have always been very, very good on the uneven parallel bars, and there is little Li of China, only 15 years old, from the Guangdong province.
What really makes them spectacular on this event is their body position, their body line. All the handstands are so straight. The swing is very, very smooth.
In the team championships on Friday night, she scored a 9.925, Li of China.
And she does a fantastic move. She's the first person to do this move. She does a straight body front giant. Look at the line I was talking about. Reverse heck going the other direction, much less common. And here it comes. She's going to set up. Look at that, a German giant. She made a mistake. She usually goes into a reverse heck there. She left it out. It'd be interesting to see what the judges do with that.
And a little hop at the end for Li.
And she normally sticks her dismount. I think she was thinking back in her routine where that slight mistake occurred. And as I said,
And a very receptive crowd for all of the women's gymnastics.
this is her first sequence. It's really quite beautiful. Straight front giant to a back giant with a half pirouette. She does a reverse hecht going the other direction. Tremendous height on that release move. Now watch right here. What this should have been, it's called a German giant. This is her last giant going into her dismount. A tuck double back dismount, very, very high, but she had some problem in the middle of the routine. She normally does a German giant into a reverse hecht. She had to leave out the reverse hecht part and just swing out of it. Not a major break, but it will be interesting to see what the judges do with it.
And while we wait the judges, Betty Okino will be next. Our only regret is this is the final night of gymnastics. 3 great nights with the men last weekend. There's Betty Okino, and this is the 3rd and final night with the women gymnasts of the world. And we've had capacity or near capacity crowds all 6 nights. Tacoma Dome is not through. Later on next week, there will be 4 nights of figure skating from this same venue. Li still waits for her score. And the judges are on the telephone.
I told you they'd have a little bit of problem with this. It could almost be considered an extra swing. She left out the element, but had to get out of it and move into the next element, and it was a little bit awkward there.
Betty Okino waits. You've heard Kathy report that the girls are a little tired and a little upset about their performance of last night, but here they are in the crowd now. Amy Scher did not do well in the vault. This will be Betty Okino's first performance of the night, and several competitors after her, Kim Zamasko, will be on the same event.
And on Friday, Betty Okino had the highest qualifying score in the uneven bars. Coming in tonight, yesterday she had a little bit of problem during the all-around competition. She caught her leg on the low bar when she performed her reverse hecht. So I'm sure that's going through her mind right now. She does not want to repeat that error.
sometimes.
Now the judges are looking into their little screen, and now they've come with a 9-6-8-7, so it did affect the score. Crowd probably not hearing Kathy Johnson. I know they cannot understand why it's only a 9-6-8-7, not realizing what she left out.
Well, since she didn't break form, it didn't look like an obvious mistake. But it was a non-element. She did part of the German giant and then just stooped her legs through and went into a kip on the high bar.
All right, on to Betty Okino, 15 years old, out of Elmhurst, Illinois. Trains with Bella Caroli down in Houston. Her first appearance of the night, looking for a medal in the uneven bars.
Keep in mind the judges watch and count the elements of difficulty. There are requirements on these events.
Betty hit a foot on one of the bars last night.
Here's her first release move coming up right here. The Jaeger front, very nicely done. Here's where the problem was yesterday. It's a reverse hacked, way up above the bar. Beautiful. Exactly the way she would have liked to have done that yesterday. And the dismount, front with a hack.
Terrific.
Very nice routine. 2 major release moves. Nice swing. Played it a little safe on the dismount. That dismount is a simple dismount compared to many of the dismounts we've seen in the competition. But she did it with no deductions.
We can tell you that the judges took an extra deduction off the average score because someone spoke to the gymnast during the routine. And there are those deductions that the judges are
She does her front giant.
Infractions that sometimes we as audience
Nice high Jaeger front, well above the bar.
Is a fairly heavy penalty and was taken right off the average score. And this happens frequently in international gymnastics.
And that's her reverse hacked again.
And you don't like
Great
that?
amplitude.
He's looking at Onadi's score of 9-8-6-2, which is the top. And the announcer here has explained to the people here what happened to the score of Lili.
There was a deduction because one of the coaches, obviously, during the routine, said something to her, a coaching comment, and that is a severe deduction in gymnastics. You are not allowed to coach during the competitive routine.
Here's our new leader. It is Betty Okino, 9-8-8-7. Not the 9-9-0 or better she would like to have had, but it's good enough in the race for the medal in the uneven bars.
Now the folks at Wendy's have...
At the moment, Betty Okino, Henny Onadi, and Mari Kusuge, 1, 2, 3. But Natalia Kalinina was won a silver tonight, a gold in the team competition, and is the all-around gold medalist, is up looking for yet another gold. She had a 9-8-3-7 on Friday in the team championship.
She does very nice work here on the uneven bars. Very smooth. Always good form. Giant with a full pirouette to a nice high Delchev. One of the only ones in this competition. Here, hip circle to handstand on the low bar. To her final release move, a reverse hex. Giant swing. And a half in, half out dismount. Little hop on the landing.
This is her best event. Natalia Kalinina.
Very nicely done, but you can see in her face, as with all the Soviets, they really want to stick those landings. They know that's what it's going to take to beat their teammates, if anyone.
At the moment, as we said, Betty Okino, as you watch, Kalinina is in first place, and Zemeskal is in the on-deck circle.
She has such beautiful straight lines. Nice release move there. This is her reverse hit. It's back over the high bar, and she just has just enough amplitude there. Should really be a little bit higher above the bar, but the dismount is terrific. Very difficult. It's a full twisting double back.
He needs to better 9-8-8-7, which is owned by Betty Okino, to move into first place.
She actually has.
Go ahead, yes.
She actually has more difficulty in her routine, particularly because of the dismount. It's much more difficult than Betty Okino.
She's first. 9-9-1-2.
And I'm sure that made the difference because Betty Okino also has very nice work on the uneven bars. Good form, just like Kalinina. Kalinina has a little more difficulty.
Kalinina is in first place. Okino is in second place. And the crowd is very aware that waiting to go now is Kim Zmeskal, 14 years old. Led the team to a silver on Friday, fell in this same event last night in the all-around.
So you can imagine what is going through her mind. Here's her first release move. This is where she had the problem. A front giant into a front somersault, and she's got it. She's got one more release move in the routine. The reverse hex coming up right here. And she's got that one as well. Nice routine so far. All she needs to do, good dismount, which she does very well.
Yeah.
A pike double back dismount. That's got to bring a smile. That's the first smile I've seen from her today. And I'm glad to see it.
Only John Shy yet to go. The American have a great chance for a couple of minutes.
You could hear Bella say that made it up from yesterday. Here's her first release move after the front giant. And where she had the problem yesterday, she was too far away from the bar, but today, perfect distance from the bar. And of course, the reverse hex done equally as well. It's just a very nice pike double back dismount, way up above the bar. She even lays out for a short period of time in that first somersault, gives it an extra flare.
Zmeskal waits. Kalinina has the lead. The Soviets have led in every event.
Score for Kim.
9-9-0. Oh, that puts her down in second place. And Okino goes to third. But remember, the Chinese and Jung Sha is due up very good on the uneven bars. So don't count your chickens. And even Kalinina could be in trouble. Jung Sha really hits. She had a 9.912 on Friday night, and if she does that tonight, she would tie Kalinina for the gold.
The judges are really doing a good job on this event. It's very difficult when you're talking about thousands of a point deductions and separating these gymnasts who are all very, very good on this event. But Kalinina, with the level of difficulty and the amplitude and form, right now should be the leader. Nice high Ginger. Back somersault with a half twist. Here's her front giant to her second release move way up above the bar. That is extra amplitude. Giant full pirouette. Comes her dismount, a tuck double back dismount with a kick out. Makes it much more difficult.
Could it be good enough for the gold?
This is going to be a tough call for the judges. There are two different types of routines, and it's hard to compare them. Kalinina's dismount was difficult in a different way.
You know that Kalinina, you know that Zmeskal are both going to medal, but what medals will they get? Will it be Jung Sha?
She does the release move so well and also moves to the low bar. Very smooth. She has a few tiny little form breaks, though, throughout here, and it just depends on how tough the judges are going to be, because we're looking at it in slow motion, so of course we can see the slight bent legs there.
The Soviets have just been gold medaling all their way through the gymnastics, men and women.
This is nice here. She kicks out of that double back. Most gymnasts just stay in their tuck. It makes it a little more difficult and a lot prettier.
Jung Sha, only 15 years old, from the Shandong province of China. This is her best event. In the China Cup, she won this event. And as a junior, she won the all-around last year. But now here she is. And here's Kim Zmeskal with that tendonitis in her left wrist. We're still awaiting to see the score of Jung Sha. And there it is, 9-9-6-2. So the gold medal scheme of the Soviets has been broken. Jung Sha of China takes the gold. Kalinina of the Soviet Union, the silver, and Zemeskal of the USA, the bronze. 2 more apparatus to go. But on the final night, the Soviets have failed to win a gold in at least one event. Back to Larry.
Thanks, Jim. I'd give a lot more 10s. But what gymnastics. We'll be back with more of same, and Svetlana Boginskaya still to come in one of her best events, the balance beam. We're in Seattle at the Goodwill Games. Stay with us. In Seattle, when the skies are blue here, they are blue. John Creighton is the pilot of the Goodyear Blimp Columbia up from Los Angeles. That's the Tacoma Dome, where tomorrow night the Soviet Union takes on the United States in ice hockey. But tonight, a different story. We're back at the International Broadcast Center, the 1990 Goodwill Games. The gymnastics continue. Back to the Tacoma Dome and Jim Simpson. Jim?
Thank you, Larry. And next up is the beam. But before, well, that's really next up. Next up is Hannah Storm. Hannah?
Thanks, Jim. Well, we're going to take a break right now before we get to the beam and talk about the European champion on that event and the overall world champion, Svetlana Boginskaya. You won't see her smile much, although I did get her to smile at me earlier today. It was the first one I've seen from her the whole competition. Some say that she's aloof, possibly a little bit distant. She's a very serious young woman. She's very sensitive. You don't see her smile because, well, frankly, she's very sensitive about her teeth. She's also sensitive about other things, and I think that shows in some of her routines. Last night, she was in tears. She finished second to her younger teammate, Natalia Kalinina. She was in tears as she was standing on the podium. And this young 17-year-old lady has shed more than her share of tears over the past 2 years.
My journey to the Goodwill Games nearly ended less than 2 years ago. Just days after the '88 Olympics, my longtime coach, Lyubov Miromanova, died. She committed suicide. She was like a mother to me. When I lost her, I lost the thing most dear to me in life. After her death, I pretty much decided I wasn't going to do gymnastics anymore. I wanted to quit. But then I thought, what else can I do? And I decided to continue. I have always been serious. But that doesn't mean I don't show emotion. I believe a gymnast should try to put her whole soul into a routine. Someday, I'd like to become a coach, like Lyubov Miromanova. I would like to train little children.
Dance special it is that which has made Boginskaya such a standout as a gymnast. So tonight, as we watch her routine, she will carry some of that beauty and some of that grace with her. Jim?
All right, Hannah, this is young Mari Kosuge of Japan. She has to lead off in 3 of the 4 events tonight. Only 14 years old, and of course she is on the beam.
She had a terrific mount, round off to 3 layout step-outs in a row. Very difficult. It's one of the special requirements on the balance beam, combining dance elements directly connected. Handspring, layout, back pike, back handspring, sisson jump. Mari really does some of the more difficult routines here in the competition. She usually dismounts with a round off full twisting double back. Boy, she saved that landing. Very, very low, so she had to pull it around, which made her over-rotate and take that big step backward.
The youngster from Tokyo, Mari Kosuge, and it is Kathy Johnson's opinion that this event, the beam, is a wide-open event for nearly all of the competitors with a chance to medal.
So much can happen on the balance beam. Here is that mount. Unbelievable difficulty here. 3 layouts in a row. You can see exactly how precise the feet must land on the balance beam to show no balance breaks. And the dismount, a very difficult one. She's a little bit slow on the rotation, low on the landing, so she pulls it around, and that makes her over-rotate because her feet get too far under her. She has to step back.
Now, Mari awaits the first score of the evening on the beam. Well, we'll tell you that China is next up, followed by the 2 Americans. 9.80 she goes. 9.80 for Kosuge of Japan.
I have a feeling this is going to be a very exciting balance beam competition. Good competitors here, and like I said, anything can happen on this event.
Now, 15-year-old Li Li of China, who got the deduction because of coaching during the uneven bars.
She has a terrific mount here. Jumps to handstand, similar to a Healy spin that the men do on the parallel bars. I always enjoy their choreography on the balance beam. It's very creative. Back handspring to 2 layout step outs. She has quite a bit of grace and elegance for a gymnast so young. And lots of flexibility. One of the trademarks of the Chinese gymnasts over the past several years is their tremendous flexibility. And a backspin on the balance beam. I can't do that on the floor, so I'm jealous.
Many here thought she might have fallen.
Also fulfilling some of the requirements, combining dance and acrobatic elements together. Preparing for her dismount, she does a round-off back handspring, double twist, and a good landing.
This could be a night for the Chinese. Young Shah has already taken the gold in the unevens, and that's a fine performance by Li Li.
She has to be pleased with that. That was an excellent performance. Lots of difficulty within the routine. Very nice choreography, very clean movement. I love the mount. Jump to handstand. Now watch this. She lifts that one hand, twists down to the balance beam. They really show perfection in movement. Look at the toe point and look at the exactness on that backspin. That is not easy. She made it look easy, but it is not easy. Round up back handspring, double twist. Not the most difficult dismount you'll see here tonight, but she does it very well, gives away no form deductions, and sticks the landing.
The applause you hear as they're watching here on a big screen what you've been seeing at home on your TBS screen. Thus the applause for her, and they have a close-up of her face just as you see. In the meantime, Betty Okino, who was first in this event in our national championships in Denver some weeks ago, is waiting to go. And she, like everybody else, is waiting for the score of Li Li.
Betty.
Officials again on the phone.
Betty really handled the pressure during the team competition extremely well. She scored a 9.9 on Friday during the team competition to qualify for the balance beam finals.
Everybody knows the man on your left, that's Bela Karolyi, but on your right is Marta, his wife.
She is the beam coach. She does a terrific job with these kids. Gets them very prepared for competition.
9, 8, 7, 5. At the moment, she's the leader, and again, the crowd thought she should have gotten better.
See, it's very difficult going early up in the lineup. The judges are a little bit afraid, tentative rather, to give the highest scores early on because they have to have room to build on if need be.
Video Kino, this is her event.
Next competitor represents the USA. This is Elizabeth Okino.
Does a straddle press to handstand as her mount. Front walk over right into a song. Betty has a lot of dance training. It really shows on the balance beam. Here's her first tumbling skill. Back handspring to 2 layout step outs. Very nicely done. Little low, not quite showing enough flexibility on those leaps. But those are such minor deductions. Here's her double turn. Very risky. Beautifully done. I never see her miss that, and that's a very risky element. Nice handstand showing all different positions. Finally lowering to her flange and into straddle split. Handsprings to a tuck double back. Pretty big step on the landing. She got her feet under her a little too much as well. Just like we saw Mari Kasuga doing. Of course, then you're forced to take that step back.
You could hold it. I know. All right. I'll put that on.
And just a note about Lily's balance beam performance. Her start value score, after the judges checked for difficulty and special requirements, was a 9.9. So it was judged from the 9.9. So a 9.875 out of 9.9 is not bad. Here's that terrific double turn. She does it as well as anyone in the world. Very few people do that skill on the balance beam. Beautiful flexibility and balance and strength. And of course, the gymnast must have all of those abilities and make it look easy at the same time. 2 back handsprings to a tucked double back dismount. You could see she landed a little stiff-legged. Her hips went too far back, and it made her take that step.
Betty's waiting for her score. Kim Zemeskal of the USA is next up, and later on, Onadi, Kalinina, and Boganskaya, who finished 1, 2, 3 in the all-around last night, with Kalinina, of course, getting the gold, Boganskaya the silver, and Onadi the bronze. Is what is Zemeskal? 9.862.
9.8. 9.862.
That puts Betty Okino for the moment behind Levy in second place. And Kim Zemeskal, a homegrown Houston product who showed up at Caroli's gym when very young. She's just 14 years old, 4 feet 5, 72 pounds, and here she goes.
But a tremendous ability to concentrate and focus. Nice handstand mount to a reverse plunge. Front handspring to a seesaw jump. Two layout step outs, her most difficult pass. Done very nicely. Two switch leg leaps in a row. Back handspring layout, step out down to one knee. She's moving very well so far, showing a lot of confidence. Preparing for her dismount. To win this competition on balance beam, you've got to stick your dismount. And there it is! Woo! The last thing the judge sees, she hit the entire routine, but you really have to put the icing on the cake.
I know. All right. Now, that was a good one.
I have to show them today.
All right. Good job, guys.
There weren't many smiles before this competition, but they're smiling now.
No, let's see now.
This is a nice position in the reverse plunge. She lowers down with the one leg bent. That's a pretty picture. And of course, the dismount very high in the air, and she just drops it right in for a nice landing.
9-9-0. At the moment, she is the leader. On Friday, Kalinina yet to come did a 9-9-0, and Bogenskaya did a 9-9-3-7. Back at the Tacoma Dome on the beam event, and while we're away, John Wan-Ning has turned in a score that has put her in first place ahead of Zamesko. A 9-9-5-0. And again, the Chinese, who won the uneven, are threatening to take a second gold of the evening with the two Soviets yet to go. Next up, though, is Henny Onidi of Hungary, who was the bronze medalist in the all-around. She had a 9-7-5-0 in the team on this event.
Her first pass. I can't swing. Layout step out. That's a very nice element. There's a half twist and a back handspring. There's a walkover out. Gainer layout step out right into another layout step out. Very difficult. This is a nice move. Back roll extension right to the end of the balance beam. Very risky. You can go too far and you have no beam to go to. She has been very solid this entire competition. And her dismount, round off, triple twist, beautiful dismount, very, very difficult. One of the only ones being done.
Now, this is John Wan-Ning, excuse me, Kathy, who is our current leader, and we are going to have a chance now to go back and see part of her routine before the Soviets step on the beam.
She was absolutely beautiful on this event. She does very difficult passes. Watch this one right here. That handspring, two layout step out. She was next to perfect. And the dismount, round off, double back, a perfect landing.
And that gave her a 9.95 and put her 500ths a point ahead of Kim Zamaskal of the USA. Lili of China is third. 9.812 for Onidi, and that will put her in fifth place behind fourth place Betty Okino. We are now down to the two Soviets. The all-around champion of last night, Kalinina, and Bogenskaya, two members of the team champions. Kalinina, remember, at a 9-9